07794818822. Now, as I already mentioned, the show is a celebration of Muslim arts and lifestyle. And lifestyle is something we encourage, especially a healthy lifestyle, and even better, one outdoors. Now, I have had guests, for example, Zahir Niani, he talked about Fasted 500 and how he's encouraging Muslims and non-Muslims in Ramadan to get on their bicycles and try and do 500 kilometers whilst fasting. It's been fascinating observing that. Now, I have also seen lots of walking experiences that organizations have set up for individuals in Ramadan to try and get as many miles in whilst fasting. There's also been lots of Ramadan retreats where people have come together and gone hiking and then broken their fast together too, as well at iftar. So it's just such a pleasure then to discuss what the connection of Islam is with the environment, and in particular in Ramadan, and what the Quran says. So in order for me to do that, I think it's absolutely wonderful that I have a guest that is very well in tune with mountains, naturally. And we know that the environment plays a massive big part in Islam, and it's also the connection between the Quran, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Mount Hira as well. There is a real strong connection there, and the revelation of the Quran as well. So it's just perfect that I have this wonderful guest joining us this morning. Who is he? I bet you're wondering. Well, he is no other than Belal Ballali. He's the founder of Peak Adventures UK, and he's a chief mountain guide for Muslim hikers with over 30 years experience in the outdoors. Raised in Scotland, Belal has always had a passion for the outdoors, especially in the mountains. This passion has taken him to lead successful expeditions in Nepal, Peru, Tanzania, and Pakistan, to name but a few. And he's been actively encouraging members of the Muslim community to enjoy the outdoors for over 20 years. Well, it's an absolute treat to have Brother Belal join us this morning. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Belal.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Shemiza. Thank you very much for having me on. Very much looking forward to this interview, loving the energy and the little accident, or should we call it echo incident at the start was pretty cool. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was really cool, wasn't it? I did not plant that. Yeah. I mean, it must be some Ramadan gremlins in the system, but you know what? It worked. I'm glad you heard that. Absolute treat to have you, Brother Belal, joining us. You sound a little bit echoey. Tell us where you're calling from. Hopefully not on top of a mountain.
No, not at all. Today I'm in my living room. Keep it nice and easy today. So nothing strenuous today. Just a nice, easy lazy day for me. So just enjoying that. I get back on the mountains on Wednesday.
Inshallah. Oh wow!
And we go again, inshallah, on Wednesday. So looking forward to that very much. So.
Well, mashallah, I'm absolutely delighted that we've been able to grab you before you've gone on one of your hikes, because I know that you're a bit of a goat on the mountain. You're quite an expert, and we're going to be finding out your experience behind that. So, Brother Belal, how is Ramadan for you?
I mean, this is a month which, I genuinely look forward to. If you look into the seerah of the companions, how they used to mourn the passing of Ramadan for 5.5 months, and then for the other 5.5 months they were looking forward and giving glad tidings to each other about coming again. Is our chance to re-energize and reconnect with Allah. So that this dunya, the world, can take out of you at times. We have a lot going on. You've got to deal with a lot of individuals. You've got to deal with a lot of problems. You have to find solutions constantly. And Ramadan is a time where we get to reconnect with Allah Azza wa replant our feet on the ground firmly, and it just gives us a good insight as to how to deal with problems. Actually, it gives you perspective. It's a month of perspective. So alhamdulillah, it's a blessing.
It sure is a blessing, and we are blessed to be experiencing it. Alhamdulillah, may we have more months of this in our lives. I always ask my guests, Brother Belal, if they have a particular dish they like at iftar and suhoor. So for somebody who is so active and always on the go, what do you do in order to sustain this level of energy that you have?
When it comes to iftar, I'm quite call it boring, call it traditional, but I enjoy my rice and meat.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, you just can't, simple dishes. It hits differently. It's easy to consume. I'm a very lazy eater as well. I don't I hate spaghetti because it's too much effort to eat. So rice and meat is just easy to consume and just pumps you up quite early on. But for suhoor, I'm a bit more extravagant, a bit more adventurous. I like a couple of boiled eggs smashed with an avocado, tomatoes, put a little bit of harissa in there, some olive oil, a bit of salt, a bit of black pepper, and then bismillah, that's my support. Obviously with the dates and the milk and whatnot as well.
Of course, sounds rather bougie. I'm liking that. That has a little bit of maybe. Does that have a cultural connection in any way?
The rice and meat is very. I mean, it's the whole of the Middle East, rice and meat is a staple for us all. But with regards to I went to Peru in 2019, and I think that's what really got me into avocados. We used to have them fresh. I mean, they would fall from the trees as we were walking, so that was, really enjoyed that. But then there's so much good fats in avocado, and that just helps in just pumping you for the day, just slow releases for the rest of the day. So it's and the eggs obviously have got the protein in there, so it's just good food that keeps you going, gives you energy throughout the day, and you just find the fasting much easier.
Indeed, some great tips there. And I like the way you've added a bit of splash of harissa on there. That's where I just thought, is there a bit of a cultural connection there? What is your background, Brother Belal? Tell the listeners, if you don't mind.
So no, absolutely. So I'm Libyan. My dad's Libyan, and my mother's Egyptian. Harissa is very much part of our diet. Lunch and dinner with snacks, you have to have your harissa there. So it gives it a little kick, a little bit of warmth, makes it a bit more interesting, and you can't go wrong with a bit of harissa. Even if it's just on like Philadelphia cheese on toast, a bit of harissa on there, boom, elevates it immediately.
Oh, you're talking the language, my brother. You're talking the language. Now, you've got a bit of a Scottish accent there. So I was wondering, no halal haggis?
I've done halal haggis. I've done vegetarian haggis, which is, I actually had a bit of spice to that as well. I had a bit of warmth. Obviously, I've not had proper haggis.
Of course.
And I don't think proper haggis it's the sheep's intestines stuffed with oats and different bits of the sheep. I've been told, I don't know, including like sheep's ears and stuff, so almost anything you can get from the sheep. So one not waste not, making the most of every single piece of it.
I think I want to move on from that because it's kind of making me feel a little bit queasy. But I wanted to ask you, then you've got like the Highland then in your DNA because being from Scotland as well, and then Egypt, Libya. Where did this love for mountains come from?
So I mean, you mentioned the Scottish connection. I was raised in Edinburgh, and alhamdulillah, Edinburgh, oh bless, we're literally surrounded by 7 hills, and in the middle of the city, next to opposite Holyrood Palace, we've got Arthur's Seat. And Arthur's Seat is Arthur's Seat's an interesting one because there's a thing called a false summit. When you're at the bottom of the mountain, you can't see the actual summit. You see something else that looks like the summit. But once you get a bit of elevation, you say, okay, that's not the summit. The summit's a bit further up. And with Arthur's Seat, there's about 3 or 4 false summits depending on which route you take up. We didn't take a route, we just went straight up. So you think, that's a summit, that's not long, that's not far. And you just run up for a bit. And you get there, no, there's another one. So you go, and before you know it, you're at the top of Arthur's Seat. But because it breaks down, it's just so much easier. So as a kid, always enjoyed the hills, always enjoyed the outdoors. I come from a generation where, the summer holidays, as soon as you're done with breakfast, you're getting dressed and you're getting out of the house and you're not coming back until until 8, 9 o'clock in the evening. We spend the whole day outside messing about.
What a life.
PlayStation wasn't our thing.
Oh, of
It
course.
was a different time. It was in my opinion, it was a much better, healthier, and enjoyable time.
Oh, you're awakening memories there, Brother Belal. I'm sure there's lots of people listening in that remember the good old days, and they were good. They were good, running freely and carelessly. And that's not stopped you, because you're still doing that, running freely in the mountains all over the world. And from the mountains in Scotland or in Edinburgh to the mountains across the world, what drove you to take that step?
So after Libya, so after Scotland, I actually spent 3 years in Pakistan. My dad used to work for a charity, and he was stationed out in Pakistan. Whilst I was there, I'd done a bit more mountains in Pakistan itself, in northern Afghanistan, and in Tajikistan. I spent 3 months in the mountains of Tajikistan, hiking and camping, and that was an extraordinary experience. Anyway, I ended up coming back to the UK, carried on with my education. Whilst at uni, me and a couple of friends, we used to go to Snowdon in the Lake District. And then after uni, I started working as an immigration lawyer. My friend worked for a charity for Islamic relief, and he started up the charity hikes within the Muslim charity sector in the UK. And he used to ask me so we'd have professional guides, of course, but he used to ask me and a couple of other guys to come along and just to help out. I wasn't qualified at the time. Anyway, 2010, I ended up leaving immigration law and done a few other things. At the same time, I started training to become a qualified mountain guide, because I've always loved it. I've always enjoyed it. And when I got back into it with the charity stuff, like 2008, it just rekindled it within me. And it's like, damn, I've been missing this. Because I hadn't done it in like 8, 9 years or something. Like, it's just so good to get away. You know, one of the things about the city is you're surrounded by concrete.
Oh gosh, it's a
you're
jungle.
Surrounded by bricks. Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, it's alhamdulillah, I've been blessed, I could say, to have been to Luton a few times, got a few friends out there. So, you know, it's a city. You don't get to see much greenery.
I
in the
like
city,
how you just mentioned you're talking about concrete, and I mentioned jungle, and then you mentioned Luton.
Luton, yeah, it had to be done. So, there's a few cities that are quite bad, although you're not as bad as Milton Keynes. Sorry, people in Milton Keynes.
Them roundabouts, brother, them roundabouts. Let's just avoid them.
Yes,
but you need to share some love about Luton. Come on.
No, honestly, it's kind of like, you know, the first time I had a group complete the National 3 Peaks in under 24 hours with a group from Luton.
Yes, that's what we like to hear.
Extraordinary.
Mashallah.
I mean, and it must have been like my 8th or 9th time. This brother, the guys from Kube,
yes, Friends of Bright Eyes.
Yes, that's the one.
Yes, we love Friends of Bright Eyes. And if those brothers are listening in, send Brother Belal a message. Tell him that you're listening in. Give him some mountain love. Tell us about Friends of Bright Eyes, brother, and your experience with them, and Brother Yasser, so forth. How did they do?
Like I said, they were the first group to have completed the National 3 Peaks in 24 hours. Normally, most groups have taken like 26 hours or so, 27 hours. People only do 2. With this group, we sat down with Yasser, and we just devised a plan to make sure that, because mashallah, within that group there, I mean, within the Luton guys, there are some genuinely determined brothers who want to make sure that they compete. They've set themselves a challenge, and they want to make sure they don't fail. They want to make sure that they accomplish it successfully. So we had to sit down, we devised a plan to see how we can do it. And what we've done was we worked with 2 minibuses. The first minibus is the minibus that's going to complete it in 24 hours. Anyone else that's lagging goes on to the second minibus, and those are the guys that might not do 24 hours.
Oh, crikey.
But mashallah, the first minibus, we packed it. We got
amazing.
I set a departure time, strict departure times. And if you're done by that time, you're jumping on. Alhamdulillah, we filled all the seats, and then we were off from Ben Nevis onto Scaffold. We had Yasser's brother-in-law was driving the minibus, I think. We had a couple of stops for a little breakfast and that en route. And then after scaffolding on to Snowdon, and all the girls that got to Snowdon in that minibus, they all made it top and back down within the allocated 24 hours. And they were just a bunch of beasts, mashallah. They've done
because they're from
incredibly
Luton.
well.
That's why. That's amazing. What a lovely shout out to the brothers. And we are so proud of the brothers from Friends of Bright Eyes. They did Kilimanjaro as well. They're doing such amazing work. We have one brother by the name of Belal Hussein, who's doing 5K every single day across Ramadan for Friends of Bright Eyes, so for Luton Food Bank, and he's part of the Friends of Bright Eyes brothers as well, that's constantly supporting, so sending him a shout out. Folks, if you've just tuned in, you are listening to no other than Belal Ballali. He is the founder of Peak Adventures UK, and he's a chief mountain guide as well, and he's talking to me on this show in the Urban Kube all the way up to 11 o'clock about his mountain career, his passion for the mountains. And we're going to be exploring how mountains and the environment play a big role in Islam as well. If you've got any questions regarding mountains, or maybe a recipe with harissa sauce, you know, he's the man to connect with. We are on 07779481822. Please leave a message. Happy to share them. And we're also on Facebook Live, so any comments you'd like to leave for Brother Belal. If you are somebody that's actually done a hike with Brother Belal, what was he like? I heard he's a bit strict. And if you don't go up the mountain quick enough, you get a telling off, or you're sent on a bus. Were you one of those people? Come on, folks. If you are based in Sheffield on Salam Radio, if you are in Peterborough on... Oh, do you know what? I've got this wrong. If you're based on Salam Radio in Peterborough and Sheffield's Link FM, if you have been on one of these hikes with Brother Belal, send him some Ramadan love. Give him some du'as. Let's hear your story. And a question I have for our listeners this morning: can you name a mountain that's mentioned in the Quran? Can you name a mountain that's mentioned in the Quran? It'd be lovely to hear your answers, and I'll read them out as well. Brother Belal, honestly, it's an absolute treat to have you here, and it's so lovely that you have a connection with Luton, and you have a connection with some magnificent brothers doing such amazing community work. That connection between charity and the hikes, what is that? How does that work? And is that a motivator for you in any way?
Yeah, absolutely. It's different. It's different. So before that, just on regards to Belal Hussein. So Belal Hussein in that first Luton group, he flopped. He didn't do it in the 24 hours. He was on the slow bus. But mashallah, he came back last year determined. And last year, mashallah, lost a lot of weight, got a bit shredded. He got the training in, got his fitness levels up. And last year he smashed it. So he managed to complete it in 24 hours. So there's lots of little stories like that where people might have failed, but then it's just giving them that little bit of encouragement. That's something, that bit between the teeth to try again, but to get the fitness levels up. The charity thing is interesting. I mean, one of the greatest thing about the charity element of it is that, and this is important to me, is that it grants accessibility to the hills that people who otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity, wouldn't have even considered it.
Yes.
So you get people from the cities of Birmingham, Luton, London, Peterborough, Sheffield, wherever. They are from the city. Maybe not so much. I mean, Sheffield are actually quite a privileged place where they are. I mean, they've got hills not too far from them. But especially Luton, London, Birmingham, Manchester, Bradford. They're in the city. They don't get those opportunities. All of a sudden, you've got a charity on. In Luton, we mentioned. For Bright Eyes. Yasser goes and puts on, a hike, be it at Snowdon or a National Three Peaks or a Yorkshire Three Peaks. And people sign up who have never done a mountain before. And you realise it very quickly on when you see how they come. I mean, we send everybody a kit list. Everyone gets a kit list, but then you see how people come dressed. And we're not too snobby about it because we appreciate this is this is someone who's never been on the hills before, and some of the gear is quite expensive. You know, you can
sure
pay
is
something like £200 for a pair of boots or something. So it's not cheap. So you know, we get it, and we try to be as lenient as possible, given the terrain, the mountain, and the weather conditions. We will try to let things slide, because it is important to give people that opportunity. And for me personally, I remember whilst I was at college, part of sports leadership, I'd gone a bit wayward, lost my way, dean-wise, and we had to go to the Lake District, spent a week out there, and I didn't want to go. At the time, I had an urban mindset. I was about the concrete jungle, I was about the city. I didn't want to be out where the sheep are, and I was forced to go as part of the course that I was doing. By day number one, I got there. Day number one, it was all right. Day number two, I was like, this is actually not bad. Day number three, I fell in love with the place. And this was the Lake District. And I remember what it was, is I spent about 3 hours hiking up this hill, going up, walking for 3 hours, head down, looking down at the path in front of me, not really raising my head very much. And then we got to the summit. I sat down to eat my sandwich, crisp, and I had a drink. And as I'm about to bite into the sandwich, I just raised my head, and all I could see was just summit after summit after summit in the distance. And it just took my breath away, and it's like, subhanAllah. And we mentioned the concrete jungle, and with the concrete jungles, you don't get to appreciate Allah Azza wa Jall's creation. You don't get to see how magnificent it is. It's just these square, rectangular structures everywhere around you, with black tarmac. Whereas out there, you get to see the green of the hills, or the burnt black rocks, or the orange rocks that haven't been quite burnt yet, or the blue streams and the lakes and the blue skies and the different formation of the clouds. And it's just breathtaking, and it's amazing, and it's like you see it. And that in itself, for me, helps reconnect with Allah Azza wa Jal. Being in the mountains helps that reconnection with Allah Azza. And you see it from the life of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I used to go, and that was his escapism. Get away from the madness of the dunya and the evil of people and the distractions of what goes on. That was his solitude. That's where he used to go and try to find his inner peace, try to make sense of everything that was going around. And there's another lovely story in which once was sat with Umar and Abu Bakr, and Uhud shook, and he says, "Ihda'i ya Uhud, inna alayki nabiyyan wa siddiqan wa shahidan." Is calm down, O Uhud, for upon you is a prophet, a siddiq, and a martyr, referring to Umar Khattab radiallahu anhu. This is why obviously they were all still alive. So he had that connection. He even said, the Prophet says, Uhud jabal yuhibbuna wa nuhibbuhu. That Uhud is a mountain that loves us and that we love it. So you always constantly see the connection between the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and nature, Allah's creation.
And we are going to carry on with this conversation after the break, Brother Belal, because we are heading to a break. Do not go away, folks. We're joined with Brother Belal straight after this. Assalamu alaikum.
This program will continue after the break. Continue listening to Inspire FM. Inspire FM.
Inspire 105.1 FM.
Continue your spiritual journey through Ramadan by tuning in to Inspire FM's Ramadan broadcast.
As we eagerly await for iftar to break our fast with our loved ones, many struggling families are fasting on empty stomachs and have very little or no food to open or close their fast. Inspire FM is working with Families Relief and Kashmir Orphan Relief Trust to provide food parcels globally this Ramadan. Donate your zakat, sadaqah, fidya or lillah to feed the fasting. WhatsApp the word donate to 07779 481822 to find out how you can donate.
Did you see that guy on TV?
What, that no comment guy?
Yeah, he was sick. What was his name?
I think it was Atiq Malik.
Yeah, Atiq Malik of Liberty Law Solicitors. Atiq Malik heads up the criminal law team at Liberty Law Solicitors, specialising in everything from serious crime down to road traffic offences.
To find out more or for a free telephone consultation, call 01582 459955.
Liberty Law, there when you need us most.
Luton's most luxurious venue for Asian weddings is now bigger and better than ever before. With 2 venues to choose from, Venue Central can provide the ultimate setting for your wedding. 2 huge venues, 1 high standard, right in the centre of Luton. Visit us online today at venuecentral.co.uk or call us now on 01582 451 767. Venue Central, affordable luxury in a central location.
Mason's Poultry Suppliers have been supplying an outstanding range of hand-slaughtered halal poultry and meat to catering professionals since 1985. That's why schools, wedding specialists, butchers, restaurants and takeaways know the name to trust is Mason's. Also for frozen foods and chips, burger buns, rice and spice and marinades, including peri-peri prepared meats too. Visit Mason's Poultry Suppliers at 3 Cosgrove Way in Luton. Call 01582 455 922 or click on nasonsonline.co.uk.
हेलो, मेरा नाम डॉक्टर सैयदा है। अपने जिस्म में अगर आपको कुछ ठीक महसूस ना हो रहा हो तो हमसे बात करें। कैंसर के बारे में फिक्रमंद रहकर परेशान ना हो। टेस्ट कराने से ये परेशानी जाती रहेगी। जब तक टेस्ट नहीं कराएंगे तब तक आपको मालूम नहीं हो पाएगा। NHS आपको देखना चाहती है। अपनी GP प्रैक्टिस से राब्ता करें।
Every child deserves a safe and secure childhood, but sadly that is not the case for 150 million street children around the world. Muslim Charity is working to change that with our Street Children projects. With your help, we can rescue children from the streets and help provide them opportunities in their lives, giving them a chance to thrive. For just £25, you can help rescue a child in need. Donate today by visiting muslimcharity.org.uk or call us on 03 000 111 786.
Richard didn't want to die, but he couldn't stop himself. The collision didn't kill him, but he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, so he hit the inside of the car. That didn't kill him either, but his internal organs carried on travelling until they hit his rib cage, and his lungs were punctured, and the main artery from his heart was torn. And that's what killed Richard.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 10:30.
Catch a creative vibe on the Urban Kube with Sister Shemiza.
Good morning and assalamu alaikum. It is 10:30, 25th of March 2024, and a massive hearty Ramadan Mubarak and Ramadan Kareem to all our wonderful listeners, Luton surrounding areas, Peterborough on Salam Radio and Sheffield's Link FM. I hope you're well, warm and winning wherever you are, and you're reaping all the rewards in this blessed month of Ramadan. Thank you so very much for allowing me to keep you company, and please do keep us all in your du'as. On today's show, as always, the Urban Kube is about positively inspiring the community. We're all about getting you motivated, engaged, and inspired. And today's show is no exception, as I'm joined by an absolutely extraordinary guest who is joining us this morning to talk about the connection between the environment and Islam, and in particular Ramadan. Now, he is somebody that has had a wonderful connection, not just locally in his own town, but internationally, but even closer to home to us in Luton, because he's inspired many a folk, especially friends of Bright Eyes, to climb a few mountains, actually the 3 peaks. And we've just found out on the show today that our brothers from Friend of Bright Eyes were the first bunch of fellas that actually made the 3 peaks challenge within the allocated time. What a great acknowledgement. I didn't know that. So much respect to all the brothers for doing what they're doing. Now, who am I talking about? If you missed any of the conversations of the show, then you're very welcome to go back onto the Facebook, Inspire FM Facebook page, and just scroll back and you will hear who the missed part. And I am joined by no other than Belal Ballali. He is the founder of Peak Adventures UK and is a chief mountain guide for Muslim hikers. He's got over 30 years experience in the outdoors. He's been raised in Scotland. Belal has always had a passion for the outdoors, especially in the mountains. And it's been an absolute treat hearing that. His passion has taken him to lead successful expeditions in Nepal, Peterborough, Tanzania, and Pakistan, just to name a few. And he's been actively encouraging members of the Muslim community to enjoy the outdoors for over 20 years. And he's been actively doing that with our own community members in Luton through lots of wonderful charity hikes. It's an absolute pleasure to have him join us. He's not on a mountain, folks. He's actually resting at home, but he will be trekking on Wednesday. So it's a real treat to be able to have grabbed him as we've been able to and have him join this very special show, which is all about the Islamic connection with the environment, which is definitely a favorite topic of mine because I am a bit of a walker. I love the outdoors. I love the connection between the outdoors and spirituality. So without further ado, let's see if Brother Belal is still with us. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Belal.
Wa alaikum assalam. Okay, Sister Shemiza. Excuse me.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you, brother, joining us. And we've just had a message by somebody that you mentioned on the show earlier. It's Belal Hussein, who's a bit of a star in Luton at the moment because he's doing some great work. And he goes, he's known you for 20 odd years, and he's delighted that you've joined the show today.
Yeah, no, mashallah. I mean, like I mentioned to you earlier offline, I've known Belal since the Charity Week stuff. Which, almost 20 years ago now, mashallah, tabarakallah. Yeah. So, mashallah, one of your Luton legends, mashallah.
Bless him. He's doing great, and I will be interviewing him soon. So, to talking about the 5K walk that he's been doing, a run every day for Luton Food Bank. You're doing some tremendous work yourself, and you are really motivating the Muslim community. You've been doing this for many a year, mashallah. And what are you seeing? Where's this drive coming from for you to nurture other people to experience the environment and the mountains, and why is the take up now growing with the Muslim community?
The take up in general is growing throughout. 6 years ago on Snowdon, there was never a queue to get onto the summit. Whereas now, if you're going during the summer, you can easily be waiting an hour in a queue to get your picture on the summit. So it has grown. But for me, what heartens me is the number of Muslims which I'm seeing. I mean, when we first used to go out hiking, you wouldn't see another brown person or black person on the mountains. It was all predominantly white people, normally white middle classes or white locals. Whereas now the level of diversity you're seeing, I mean, it's typical, it's normal that I'll be there with one charity taking a group up Snowdon. And then on my way up, I'll be bumping into another Muslim charity on the way down. And then when I'm on my way down, I'll see another Muslim charity on the way up. So, and even better is because people have been out a few times on the hills themselves, they're now comfortable and confident enough to go out and just do their own hikes themselves. And we're seeing lots of little Muslim communities from different cities who are starting their own little hiking groups. I mean, there's the guys in Ashton on the outskirts of Manchester. They've got the Ashton Hiking Club.
Yes. And
every single Sunday, they're on a hill somewhere. Every single Sunday. So it's amazing to see. It's fantastic, especially as Muslims. Allah Azza tells us in the Quran, فَسِيحُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ, He tells us go look in the land, go and tour the land, go see creation. Especially in the Meccan surahs. Most of the surah starts off by drawing our attention to Allah Azza's creation, be it the mountains, be it the valleys, be it the stars, whatever it is, but it's always drawing attention to nature. And that's an important draw because that's what reconnects you with the Creator. That's what reconnects you with Allah Azza wa Jal. Whereas, I mean, I sorry to harp on about this, but when you're with the city, it kills that. It hardens the heart, and it detaches you slightly from Allah Azza wa Jal. So it's an amazing place to be, and wallah, it's beautiful to see people there, and it helps. And with the reconnection with Allah Azza wa Jal, one of the other great benefits of that is in itself, and which the hills brings you, is mental well-being. I mean, the physical side is obvious. You know, you're out there, you're walking, you're getting fresh air, you're getting some exercise. But the mental well-being of just seeing the greenery and just getting away from the stress of the city, wallah, it's an amazing place to be in. It's a place that helps give you a bit of perspective on life as well.
And
it's alhamdulillah.
You have raised a very important point there about perspective in life, because we are kind of living, it's like a hamster wheel, isn't it? And there's no perspective. Having that work, faith, balanced life you are kind of trapped in it. So in order to just it's courageous, I believe, for anybody to kind of take that initiative to go on a hike, because it's not the norm. It's not something that we as a community are accustomed to. And like you said, it's a very common thing for, say, locals in the vicinity or middle class individuals who see this as part of their daily routine. So what advice would you give to anybody listening in who's never experienced this and might be slightly daunted by it, but is intrigued by just going on a hike? But is Brother Belal there?
Yeah, sorry, I just missed that last bit of what you just said.
It's just what could you say to our listeners who've never had the experience of going on a hike but might feel quite daunted or overwhelmed by it?
I mean, what I would say is, especially during when we've got nice weather, if you've got someone like For Bright Eyes or any other charity within Luton, that something that's been organised for a mountain hike, especially as a first timer, to go with a group like that, because they're going to have professional mountain guides there. They're going to have a proper route set up. They're going to have people to look after you, and you'll have nothing to worry about. And that will give you a taster. Once you get that taster, then inshallah, it'll give you more confidence to go out and do it. Just call your friends, call your cousins, call your relatives, and just go for a walk together. You go spend, so instead of going away on holiday, just, during one of the half terms or something, you just book an Airbnb near Snowdon or near the Lake District or up in the Peak District or even up in Scotland. You get yourself a little map, and then you go do a nice obvious route. You don't take on anything too challenging where you might get lost. You do something that's fairly simple, that doesn't require much navigation. But what's important is that you just get out there. Just get out and just experience it. Experience the outdoors. Experience getting back with nature. Take yourself a little picnic with you as well, and sit down on top of the hill and just have something to eat and just enjoy the views. Take it all in and absorb it. And wallahi, the amount of benefit there is from doing such an activity, Alexis, physically and mentally, it just lifts your mood. And also, I mean, we all go through problems in life. Allah just says in the Quran, have the people assume that they shall be left alone to say that we are believers and that they shall not be tested? This is part of life for us to get tested. And when you are getting tested, when you do feel everything slightly overwhelming, sometimes just getting away from the city, getting away to a hill, getting somewhere where it's just you and Allah's Azza's creation, it just helps bring back perspective and to see that this big, massive, insurmountable problem that you have in front of you is actually not that deep and isn't that big a problem, and it isn't something that you cannot overcome. And it just helps give you that perspective. So there are so many benefits. Wallahi, it's just so good for you.
Beautifully said, and lots of wisdom in what you have just shared with us. Thank you so very much for that, Brother Belal. Folks, if you've just tuned in, you are listening to the Urban Kube. This is Shemiza taking you all the way up to 11 o'clock. I am in great company this morning. I am joined by no other than Belal Ballali, who is a mountain guide. He's a very successful, very notable and very popular mountaineer, mashallah, who's been doing encouraging, inspiring members of our community for over 20 years, and not just national but international hikes across the world. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have him here today, just to talk to us about the benefits of being outdoors, but also the connection between Islam and the environment. And I'm really quite humbled listening into him, because Brother Belal, I really hear it in your voice, you know, the passion, the conviction, and I've actually seen you on hikes. I've seen you walking, and I love the fact that you do a dua at the beginning of the hike, and you always remind people the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the creation around us, and it just enables us to take stock for a moment. Why do you do that? What motivates you to do that?
Well, I mean, I mentioned earlier how I'd done 3 months in Tajikistan, and I'd never done a multi-day hike before in my life. And I went there, all of a sudden it's straight into the multi-day. I think it was like 3 days straight before we stopped and we had any rest days. And from the offset, I was thinking, bloody hell, this is tough, man. This is difficult. But I had a sibha on me. And I remember I just pulled the sibha out. I picked up a stick from the ground. And I started using the stick as a walking stick. I had the sibha in my right hand, started doing tasbih, and then started to coordinate my steps with my tasbih. And that helped regulate my breathing. It just gave me that a bit of rhythm. And all of a sudden, it's like I'm remembering a lot as I was in, and it's helping me walk. So I think for, especially first timers, it's they've never actually been on a hike. They're not too sure as to the rhythm or the pace that they should be taking. Something like tasbih actually helps you a lot. And so you remember a lot as you're getting benefit, you're getting reward from Allah as well. And it elevates, so it just relieves you. Allah says in the Quran, is it not with the remembrance of Allah that hearts find contentment, hearts find peace. And this is, ultimately we're all looking for happiness, and we're all looking for peace. Sometimes we look for it in the wrong places, but the mountains is somewhere. Once you connect with Allah, you will find that happiness, and you will find that peace. So for me, that's what I found helped me when I was struggling. And I see a lot. Every single group, there'll always be a few who are struggling with the pace of it. They're finding it difficult, trying to catch their breath. And so, if you're doing tasbih, you're not talking. If you're talking, you're exhaling. If you're exhaling, you're not taking any oxygen in, and you're going to gas out. Whereas with tasbih, it's like with one step, you breathe in. With the other step, you say subhanallah. And you keep doing that throughout. Before you know it, you're at the summit, and it's like, wow. And then you can take in the views once you're at the summit, and you just get an appreciation of what you've just achieved and accomplished. And it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place to be. And it's like everywhere I go I've done Snowdon over 500 times now. Alhamdulillah.
Really?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. But
do you not get
time
bored?
is different.
Oh, is it? How can it be different? Is it the people?
The people play a role. The weather plays a role. The clouds play a role. It's a different experience every single time. Sometimes there's snow. Sometimes there isn't snow. Sometimes it's a total whiteout and you can't see what you're doing. And sometimes we do a sunrise challenge, which you're hiking up at night time. And occasionally whilst hiking up at night time, there might be low cloud, and you're walking in the cloud and it's wet and it's rainy and you can't see anything. It's just head down and you're marching and you're pushing yourself, you're challenging your body. And in that, there's an element of satisfaction. But on the flip side, sometimes you'll go and it's beautiful, clear skies, and you can see the stars and you can see the moon. On Everest Base Camp, we used to stay in this place called Gorakshep, which is the highest lodge there. It's a disgusting place, like genuinely horrible. There's a place just lower from it we stayed the night before called Lobushi. It's not as bad as Gorakshep. So what we started doing now is from Lobushi we go to base camp, and instead of coming back and staying at Gorakshep, we come all the way back to Lobushi. So you're walking for about an hour in the darkness at night time. And on the last time, it was a full moon. And we didn't even need our torches. We just walked back without our head torches, using the light of the full moon, which was even great, giving you your own shadow, your own moon shadow. And it's just, you know, these kind of experiences, you
Wow.
don't get them in the city. It's just magical.
It sure is. And just listening to you, I'm just imagining it all. I'm seeing all the colors and the vibrancy, and I can smell it too. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you know, folks, you get the
Yeah, yeah.
picture, don't you? Wow, it's such a revelation, isn't it? On your part as well, to share your personal experience of how nature has impacted and manifested in your life, and I hope it does encourage our brothers and sisters listening. I hike with Team MC Muslim Charity. I do my hikes with them, and they're a great bunch, and it's growing as a group, and we're doing more challenging hikes. So I'm all about the challenges. I like a challenge, but I do remember you being on one of the hikes and you told me off.
Joanna, if I told you off, you must have deserved it. I'm sorry.
I thought I'd share that with everyone. Thinking he's a grumpy man, isn't he? He's told me off. So I've got better.
I would actually like to know the context, because you mentioned this earlier, and I mean, I don't remember it. It's not because I tell people off all the time.
I like how you're doing that. I like how you're doing that. Right. I need to own this. Well, what it was, I walked ahead. I think it was Wales, Brecon Beacons. I walked ahead, and I deliberately walked ahead. So I thought I'd get like a 5-minute break, but everybody caught up and like, no, you're not sitting down. You need to carry on walking. I'm like, and I had a bit of a toddler's strop. I walked ahead so that I could have a break. So I've improved, Brother Belal. I have.
Alhamdulillah. Discipline is important. So I mean, like, so you're with Team FC, and I believe, are you doing Tubkal?
Yes, I am, brother.
Yeah, okay, so
I'm doing
so
Tubkal.
that you know, that's going to be with me as well. And I mean, that's a different experience. Tubkal's like a mini Kilimanjaro,
right?
And in the sense that, you know, the non-summit day is quite easy. So day number one is it's a nice easy hike, and it's like hiking to, say, the top of Ben Nevis, and that's it. Not up and down Ben Nevis, just going up Ben Nevis. So it's not too bad. Day number two, it's a game changer. Day number two,
oh goodness,
we get up, we have breakfast at 4 o'clock in the morning. So you're up before 4, you get dressed before we have breakfast. And then we're setting off just before 5 o'clock. And when we set off, it's going to be small steps. So the Phoebe guys that done Kilimanjaro last year, they'll know about poli poli, which means slowly, slowly in Swahili, because you're at a high altitude. Once you're above 3,000, you do really feel the altitude, the lack of air. So I mean, you're not able to run for more than like 10 meters before gassing out. So you're walking at a really slow pace, small steps. Trying to get to the summit with your head down, and then about an hour into the hike, we'll stop to pray Fajr, and then we'll carry on. And again, it's just really slowly. Now it's less than 2 miles from where we're staying to the summit. Less than 2 miles. Now, for a bit of perspective, that's less than halfway up Snowdon. But because the air is so thin, you really feel it, and it's quite laboured. Your breathing is difficult, but then once you get to the summit and you get those views, it's like subhanallah. And then coming down is just a lot easier.
You know, this is the beauty of it. It's the fact that you're putting yourself to a test, and then it is a struggle. Nothing comes easy in life.
Nothing worthwhile comes easy in life.
And so when you get to that peak and you've made that and you've crossed that barrier, it's just such an exhilarating feeling. We've only got 4 minutes left to the end of the show, Brother Belal, and I wanted to ask you, how can people connect with you? How can people get on one of your hikes? Is there anything exciting on the mountain happening?
So every single year we do Kilimanjaro, and we do Everest Base Camp. So Kilimanjaro at the start of the year, Everest Base Camps at the end of the year. We do Morocco about 2-3 times. Next year, inshallah, I'm going back to Pakistan to do K2. Hafiz Shaban done K2 with Muslim Charity a couple of years ago.
Hafiz Shaban is our presenter on Inspire FM.
I know. That's me just name dropping. He
Yeah,
actually done
you're
Ben
like
Nevis with me
family.
back in 2013. I think it's 2013, 2012. We done Ben Nevis together with Interpal raising funds for Palestine.
Amazing.
But yeah, so inshallah next year we're planning to do Pakistan K2 base camp, but also I'm planning, as soon as I'm done with K base camp, I'm having a second group coming inshallah to do Khosar Gang, which is another peak in northern Pakistan, which is over 6,000 meters.
Wow.
So really exciting times, a lot going on. The easiest way to connect with me is either via Instagram. So it's Peak Adventures UK, one word. That's the company page. My own personal page is Brother Mountain Beard. So the brother and the mountain and the beard all together in one word. We've also got a WhatsApp group and a Telegram group as well. So people are welcome to on Instagram. If you just DM me your mobile phone number, we can add you to those groups as well. Those are probably the easiest ways to connect with me, inshallah.
Fantastic.
The other way is keep an eye on the Muslim Charity guys when they do UK treks. I'm usually their guide, also with Muslim hikers, also with For Bright Eyes. So I'm usually the mountain guide for all those guys. So if you come on any of those treks, more than likely you'll find me. You'll be able to connect, inshallah. But wallahi, get out there, enjoy the outdoors, get away from the city, give yourselves a break. Do your mental health a massive favor and do your physical health a massive favor and enjoy life out there. Wallahi, it's the best advice I could give.
For me, it's been a game changer, and I just get I'm doing one every month, and so I'm really looking forward to Tubkal, and that is for Gaza via Muslim Charity fundraising for that. And also, inshallah, I'll be doing a marathon 4 days later after that. So yeah, I'm getting better, brother Belal. So
good, fantastic. So you don't need the breaks anymore.
No breaks. Snacks on mountains. What's the most unusual snack that you've ever seen? Or because I saw a reel of you saying that mountaineers never bring their own snacks because they've got snacks from everybody else.
Honestly, so there's one of the guys when he comes on the hikes. What he'll do is the curry from the day before. He'll stick that in one of those brioche burger buns, like 3 of them.
Interesting.
So I always take one of his off him. I'm quite bad at bringing stuff, but yeah, stuff like that, leftover chicken from the day before or meat from the day before works really well. But for the best snacks, in my opinion, dates, nuts, raisins, those are amazing. I remember one guy once came with a whole Tupperware of triple kebabs, and he brought a loaf of bread and a 1 kilogram tub of, I can't believe it's not butter. That has to be the most unusual so far. That was the craziest so far. But yeah, just as long as you're bringing food, something to eat on, you're bringing enough water, then it's perfect. Even in Ramadan, if you go hiking, just do the hike shortly before iftar time. Make sure you've got some water and some snacks on you, just in case you need to break your fast. But keep it nice and simple. A nice little walk, 2 hours, no more than 3 hours. You come back, you get your release, your mental release, and you're back in time for iftar, worked up an appetite, and you end up enjoying your evening more.
Sure, Will. And thank you so very much, Brother Belal, for joining us on the Urban Kube show today. It's been an absolute pleasure. We've got about 30 seconds left. Anything quickly you want to add regarding Ramadan?
Ramadan, yeah, guys, we're halfway through this month. In a couple of days' time, it's the anniversary of the Battle of Badr. It's good that we reconnect with the life of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, learn about how he lived his life, enjoy the Quran during the month of the Quran, and make the most of this month, inshallah, and go easy on the samosas and the pakoras at iftar time.
Always. Thank you so much, Brother Belal. Pleasure having you on Inspire FM.
Thank you for having me.
Assalamu alaikum, and it is the end of the show.
Wa alaikum assalam.